इतना बड़ा क्या है, टूट गया पूरा। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय युगधर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we'll continue our discussion on the Bhagavad Gita. We are on chapter 2, text number 13. Dehinosmin yatha dehe Dehinosmin yatha dehe Kaumaram yauvanam jara Kaumaram yauvanam jara Tatha dehantara prapti Tatha dehantara praptir Dhirastatra na muhyati Dhirastatra na muhyati Dehinosmin yatha dehe Kaumaram yauvanam jara Tatha dehantara praptir Dhirastatra na muhyati. Kaumaram yauvanam jara Deham. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Purport. Since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation by Arjun on account of death, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones, thereby rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of body account for varieties of enjoyment or suffering, according to one's work in life. So Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least life in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So in either case, there was no cause of lamentation. Any man who is perfect in knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the spirit soul, the super soul and nature, is called a dhira, or a most sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. So this is the beginning of the discussion of a section in the Gita known as Sankhya Yoga. This second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. Dvitiyo Adhyaya Nama Sankhya Yoga. So this section from verse number 11 till verse number 30 of second chapter. Here Krishna discusses a detailed analysis of the identity of every human being, every living being. How a living being is a spirit soul, Atma, different from material body. Like here we see in this section. In this section, Arjun had raised a question that if I fight with my relatives and kill them, then how can I enjoy? Right? I don't want them to die. I won't be able to enjoy without them. So Krishna is telling, no one is going to die. No one dies. Only the body dies. The soul never dies. The soul will accept new body after death. So why are you worried? सबको तो मरना ही है ना कभी तो शरीर तो छोड़ना ही है. So spirit soul never dies. So what is the cause of lamentation? And if fighting the war for the cause of dharma is available, then why not use it? Because dharma ultimately never causes any bad thing. Any dharmic activity will not cause any damage to anyone. And if you fight for the cause of dharma, then it will cause benefit for everyone. This is the argument Krishna is giving. So in this verse we find very important verse. Dehi nosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. There is a nice picture we have. Small baby born, he grows to an infant, then a little older, then a young boy, then a young man, then middle-aged, then old age, then finally death. Cycle. So Krishna is saying, Asmin Dehe, in this body, the living entity passes from Kaumaram, young childhood body, Yauvanam, youth body, Jara is old age. So we all see this, right? This change we all see. Here we have some children, some young people, some old people. So Krishna says, just as the living entity, the soul passes from youth, young childhood to youth to old age. So after old age, death, and after death, new body. Simple logic. है कि नहीं? So why are we bewildered by a change? When death happens to someone, why should we bewildered by the change? When an old man dies, we don't mind. There's no so much lamentation. But when a young person dies, some calamity, some accident, some illness, we are unable to accept the reality. But Krishna says, body is changing every time. Even when person is living, the body is changing continuously. We may not see the change constantly, but right now, our all bodies are changing. Is it not? Some change is happening to the body constantly. Because the change is not perceivable, therefore we don't mind. But when there is sudden change of body, like death, then we are unable to accept it. But Krishna says, Dhiras tatra na muhyati. Dhira. Dhir means patience, yeah, sober. One who is sober. One who is, Hindi में क्या बोलते हैं उसे धीर को? धीर word. हाँ? धैर्यवान. Such a person is not bewildered by such a change. So Prabhupada used to give the example of a car and a driver. So just like we see a car moving or any vehicle moving, the vehicle is not moving on its own. अंदर कोई driver बैठा है. The driver is driving the car. Because a car is dead. Car में BMW या Tata or Maruti, any car. But the car in itself cannot run. Right? You need a driver. Someone में से अभी आजकल Google operated automatic car है, but still someone is operating, maybe remotely or physically. So no machine can run or work independently. Some conscious living being, conscious human being has to operate it. Then the machine will work. So without a driver, a car cannot work. Scriptures give the example of a chariot. Chariot is like a machine. And a warrior sits on the chariot and he operates. So similarly, the body is considered a yantra. Yantra rudha nimaya. Yantra means machine. And no machine can operate independently. Some operator, mechanic has to be there who can operate, press the buttons and do its workings. So in this way, one has to recognize the modern theory of evolution says body itself is life. We don't recognize the existence of an Atma separate from the body. We feel the body itself is the living being and somehow it is working. And death means everything is dead. Body dies, the person dies, and there is nothing called as Atma. But the Gita disagrees with this idea. Gita says body is different and the person driving the body is different. Just like the car and the machine, car and the driver. So car doesn't function automatically. So how can the body function automatically? Car is by nature dead, body is by nature dead. So this is the fundamental difference between what the modern understanding of life is and what the Gita teaches us about life. The moment we understand this difference between soul and body, then we become dheer. Our Srila Prabhupada was one time in the US, MIT. MIT is a big, something like IIT in India, engineering college. And there he saw the college, various departments, all departments. And then he asked, "We have so many departments of knowledge here, departments of engineering. Where is the department to study the difference between soul and body? Study the difference between a living body and a dead body?" And they had no answer. But this is the basic education given in the Gita. Krishna dedicates 20 verses to describe the difference between soul and body. How the soul is shashvat, eternal, and the body is temporary. This crucial difference is very fundamental to understanding spiritual knowledge. If we don't understand this, then the remaining portion of the Gita we won't be able to understand. This is the ABCD of spiritual knowledge. If someone doesn't understand basic arithmetic, plus, minus, division, multiplication, he cannot understand geometry and algebra and calculus, right? Similarly, this is the fundamental building block of spiritual knowledge. So, there are many such stories in the Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures talking about the difference between soul and body. There was this nice king named Chitraketu, long back. He was the king of the planet. And he had many wives, but he had no children. And he was very sad. How can I continue my dynasty without any child? But no children, kya kare? Many years passed, still he had no children. So he was wondering what to do. So one time, one sage came there. His name was Angira Muni. And he expressed to him, "I have everything, wealth and position and armies and power and all material facilities I have. But still I am not happy." Actually, the sage understood, looking at his face, something is bothering you. Although you are the king of the planet, still something is bothering you. What is it? What is it that is bothering you? So he explained, "This is my situation. I have no child. And who will continue the kingdom, continue my dynasty? My forefathers were so glorious, and I am in that dynasty, so someone has to continue. So he said, please tell me how I can have a child. So sage tried to explain to him, you are not destined to have any child. तुम्हारे नसीब में है ही नहीं. But he was not ready to accept that answer. So the sage said, okay, I will do something for you. So he gave him some sweet rice, some kheer, and told him to give it to his wife, first wife, the eldest queen. And then he said, you will have a child. So he gave the thing, the item to his wife. And after a few months, the queen delivered a baby. But the sage said, this child will give you happiness and distress, both. It will bring you joy and sorrow. Therefore, name the child as Harsha Shoka. Harsha Shoka means joy, sorrow. Harsha Shoka, joy and lamentation. So the king thought, okay, thoda bachcha masti karega, something mischief he will do. That will cause sorrow. He may not obey my orders. He may not listen to me. ठीक है, that is acceptable. Every child is like that. So that much sorrow is okay. He didn't know what sorrow is going to come. The sage didn't tell him what sorrow is going to happen. So the child was born, and everyone was happy. There was big celebration, festivals. The king invited everyone, fed everyone, gave them a lot of gifts. Harsha, happiness ka time. So the first queen was happy, king was happy. But the other queens, he had many queens. The other queens saw that the king is now devoting all his time to the first queen and not spending any time with us. He doesn't even ask about us, care about us, no inquiry, not even talking. All this happened after the child was born. Before the child was born, the king was okay. But after the child was born, he has changed. This child is the cause of all problems. So what to do? There is only one solution. Kill the child. Then the king will understand. So all these queens, other queens conspired, and they gave poison to the child. And the next morning, when the queen came to wake up the child, first queen, the child is not waking up. And then she realized the child is dead. And then again lamentation and sorrow and crying and this and that. And the news soon spread. The king got to know the news. The king couldn't bear the news. Very painful news. Everyone is crying. The subjects are crying. The ministers are crying. Everyone is crying because the king is crying. So he couldn't tolerate, accept that information. The child is now dead. इतने साल के बाद एक child was born, and after a few years he is dead. So at that time again the sage comes there. He comes along with Narad Muni, his friend. Both of them come to this king and inquire what happened. Of course they knew what had happened, but still they inquire. And then the king explains to him, this is what happened. So then the sages tell him, they start talking about the science of the soul, what we are discussing now in the Gita. This knowledge, the sage Angira Muni and Narad Muni give this knowledge to the king, Chitraketu. And they give nice explanation. They say, O king, what relationship does the dead body for which you lament have with you? And what relationship do you have with him? You may say that you are now related as father and son, but do you think this relationship existed before the child was born? And does it truly exist now after the child is dead? Will it continue in the future? This is what Angira Muni is asking the king. For a small time, the relationship of father and son existed. Before the birth of the child, after the death of the child, the relationship is not there. And there is no guarantee the relationship will continue later. Then they say, O king, as small particles of sand sometimes come together and are sometimes separated due to the force of waves. Similarly, the living entities who have accepted material bodies sometimes come together and are sometimes separated by the force of time. So we see in the beach, so many waves come, sand particles come together, they separated. Or just like when you go in a train or a bus, so many people come together. Someone may sit next to us in the seat, and we may talk to them for a few minutes, and they will get down or we will get down, and then we are separated. Similarly in train or plane, some people come together, stay together for some time, and then they are separated. We don't cry when someone gets down from the train, right? Arey re, chhud gaya bechara. Itna acha ghana dost. We don't say all those things. Okay, he went to his destination, I am going to my destination. And someone else may join. Right? So that relationship, we don't take it so seriously. But when this relationship happens, which lasts for a few years, and when the relationship ends, we can't accept it. Right? The difference is only in time, duration. But otherwise, it's similar to any train relationship, plane relationship, bus relationship, sand relationship. Therefore, they are asking, why are you taking this relationship so seriously? Then they say, O king, both you and we, as well as everything moving and non-moving, are in a temporary situation. Before our birth, this situation did not exist. After death, it will not exist. Therefore, our situation is temporary, but not false. It is temporary, not false. As from one seed, another seed is generated, O king. Similarly, from one body, another body is generated. Mother and father ke body mein se child body is generated. Divisions of generalization and specification, like nationality and individuality, are imaginations of people who are not fixed in knowledge. So we give so many designations to people, right? In this temporary time when people come together, we give them identities, designations. He is a Maharashtrian, Gujarati, Marwadi, South Indian, Bihari, Punjabi, Bengali, Indian, American, Pakistani, Chinese. These are all designations. Or any other designations. So they say all these designations are imaginations only, because they are not permanent. They are related to only the body, right? And the body is temporary. So why take these designations so seriously? For functional purposes, we may use those designations. But when the function gets over, why hang on to those designations so seriously? Because we are not unable to give up that attachment. Therefore, there is harsha shoka. Therefore, there is sorrow and joy. So in this way, these sages, Angira Muni and Narada Muni, enlighten Chitraketu. And when Chitraketu hears this knowledge, all his lamentation is gone. He becomes happy. In fact, actually they revive the child for some time. And the child starts speaking this knowledge. And when they hear this from the child, then the king understands. The child asks, oh, who are you? जिसके बारे में इतना शोक कर रहा था वो. The child says, you are my father now. You were my father for some time. Now I am going to another destination. Someone else will become my mother and father. I have no connection with you. Then the king understands. The child has no attachment to me. Why should I have so? I have so much attachment to him. So upon hearing this knowledge, he becomes a dheer. Dheeras tatra namuhyati. What Krishna is saying here. One who is not bewildered by such a change, this constant changing happening, and the final change happening at the time of death. Such a person who is not bewildered by this change is called a dhira. So we all are expected to become dhira. Not just the change of death, but any change, any sudden change that happens in the material condition of a human being. It could be any condition, any situation, financial or economic, any calamity, any difficulty. This world is constantly changing. Some changes are gradual, some changes are sudden. But if you understand that all these changes are happening to the external situations only, not to the Atma, not to the spirit soul, then, and if we are not bewildered by this change, then we become dhira. Therefore, every education should be aimed towards helping people cope up with the change so that they are not bewildered by the change and they finally become dhira. Because we are not taught this education. Therefore, small little changes bewilder us. And then there is quarrel, there is fight, there is a disagreement individually, socially, collectively, nationally, internationally. There are wars happening, right? All these wars, someone calling someone else as a terrorist, enemy, all this is what designations? External designations. We are taking the external designation which is temporary so seriously that we can tolerate their existence. We want to eliminate them. And then there is war or fight. So we have these two dimensions. One is a changing dimension, the body. The body is constantly changing. And the unchanging part, which is the spirit soul. So therefore the reincarnation is also happening. This section is describing reincarnation. Prabhupada talks about in the purport. Based on our actions in this life, we get a new body. Tatha dehantara prapti. Dehantara prapti, after dehantar, another body is obtained. That new body depends on our actions in this life. So self-realization means we are increasingly aligned with the reality. So there is something which is reality, and if we accept reality as reality, then we are self-realized. But if we accept something else as reality, then we are not self-realized. So the Gita is teaching us what is reality, what is the self. So we have our own images of what we are. I am thinking I am something. I think I am an Indian or a Hindu or an American or a Marathi, Gujarati, whatever. We have these designations. And we consider that to be the reality. But the Gita is talking about something else as a reality. The more there is mismatch between the two, the more there is bewilderment and confusion. The more these two identities merge, what we think we are and what the Gita says we are, if these two ideas merge, then we are self-realized. And then any changes happening in this world, any changes happening to us, our existence, will not bewilder us. And we can remain happy at all times. So in this way, spiritual knowledge helps us become far-sighted and deep-sighted. Far-sighted means we give too much attention to nourishing our material side right now. Modern culture means pampering our body, giving too much attention to bodily needs, bodily relationships, and forgetting the real need of the soul. So far-sighted means we understand I am a spirit soul and what my needs are, what my spiritual needs are. Along with taking care of my material needs, I don't ignore my spiritual needs. Such a person is called far-sighted. जो दूर की चीजें देखता है. And deep-sighted also. So most of the time we are spending our time to fulfill our basic needs. Basic needs of roti, kapda, makan, all these things के पीछे हम लोग भागते हैं हमेशा. There we don't have time to fulfill our more inner needs, much more deeper needs. The need for understanding the meaning of life, the purpose of life, the need to fulfill love, experience love and share love. We don't have time to explore these things because all our time is spent in roti kapda makan. है कि नहीं? पापी पेट का सवाल, people say. Where is the time to explore the purpose of life, the meaning of life, explore real love, experience real love? So when we understand the knowledge of the Gita, then we start exploring our inner self and the ultimate needs of our existence. Therefore, this section of the Gita called Sankhya Yoga, here Krishna tries to describe by giving various examples in various angles, various statements, he tries to convince Arjuna that don't give too much attention to this external body. Do whatever basic is needed, but focus more on the spiritual side. When we give too much attention to only the material side, then there is a degradation. What we see in today's time, there is so much confusion, so many problems, terrorism and exploitation, abuse, corruption. This is all because we are ignoring the fundamental innermost needs of every human being. Because people are not educated in this regard, therefore all these problems arise. So, therefore Krishna is trying to educate Arjuna on these matters. So this discussion will continue for some more weeks. If anyone has any question, we can take one or two. Otherwise, we'll have Kirtan. You're doing Kirtan. Yeah. Hey, nahi na aisa. There is no such thing. It's all a package of both Harsh and Shoka. Is there anyone who experiences only Harsh? There is no such thing, right? It's a combination. So, but we are not prepared for that. We want Harsh only. Shoka is forced upon us. Not that we are voluntarily inviting Shoka. है कि नहीं? We chase after Harsh, happiness. Shoka comes out of force. Yeah.
What I think in reality and what I think in, like, I completely forgot.
Yeah. So there is something which is reality about our own self, what the Gita says, what Krishna says in the Gita, and scriptures tell us. And we have some understanding of our own self, a misunderstanding. Because there is a mismatch between the actual reality and my own conception of reality, there is confusion. When my understanding of reality changes to the actual conception of reality, then we become happy.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.